Let's talk about the 6 habits that I think we maybe don't talk about enough, or maybe we talk about, but maybe not in the right way very often. 6 healthy habits that are going to help you become your better version of yourself. So number 1 is definitely underrated normally. I'm talking about self-compassion. What's the thing about self-compassion? Very often we hear about self-confidence and self-esteem. So people encourage you to become, the better version of yourself because you just feel so confident about your abilities and all of this. But actually, science has shown that self-confidence and self-esteem can be quite damaging to you and also to the people around you, because they tend to create a sense of separation with others. You can only kind of build this sense of self-esteem in a way because you separate yourself from others and you are somehow better than others. That's very often the way it works, and that's actually a quite negative way of going about it. Compared to this, self-compassion actually does exactly the opposite. So self-compassion brings you back into the idea that you are not the only one making a mistake. You are not the only one going through a difficult time. You are not the only one being yourself the way you are, even if you may be extremely weird. In my case, for instance, I am an INFJ, for the people who know about the MBTI personality types. And I thought a lot of things that I was doing and the way I was coping and being so oversensitive about a lot of topics and so overwhelmed very often, I thought it was weird until I saw a range of information and videos about the topic. Thank you, Frank James. And it made me realize it's totally normal. I am weird, but I am normal in my group of weird people. Thank you, other INFJs. I think you understand me. So in a way, that's a bit the comparison with self-compassion. When something difficult happens in your life, or when you fail at something, when you're facing challenges, then using self-compassion, you can really be a better version of yourself. Because instead of beating yourself up or being jealous about others or any kind of negative spiral like that, you can just acknowledge, be nice to you. And by the way, self-compassion is great to reduce stress, and you know that reduce stress is in most cases something that you want to do anyways for your quality of living and the quality of living of the people around you. So self-compassion is something that you can practice, and it's definitely number 1 on the list for me because it also helps you to accept failure as part of the process of becoming a better you. Especially if you want to change habits, other healthy habits besides practicing self-compassion, you need to have self-compassion. Number 2 for me would be reduce your amount of screen time. TV series, movies, just watching YouTube. I'm seeing you right now. Sometimes you learn a lot from these things, so I'm not saying to just cut it out, but if you tend to feel a little bit addicted and you feel like sometimes you catch yourself watching too much of the good stuff, or you start watching even stuff that you actually didn't want to watch, but some kind of algorithm presented you with another video and it looked kind of addictive, so you clicked and you watched, and in the end you spent 2 hours where you actually only wanted to check a video for 15 minutes. This is toxic. It's getting into your real life. And I would definitely recommend that you find a way progressively, because most of the time drastically doesn't work, but progressively to work out a frame that works for you. Do you want to watch a movie once a week? That's okay. Do you want to maybe watch one episode of a series once a day? Whatever it is, just make sure that you don't spread out too much outside of that range, because it takes you so much time. And the reason why I place this one number 2 and not others that I will talk about that are extremely important is just because this habit of framing your screen time nowadays is absolutely crucial, because you often don't realize how much of your time and energy, so it means not only your direct time, but also your indirect time that goes to waste because you spend too much time on screen. And I'm talking about the fact that you keep watching until much later than you thought. So it means you don't get enough sleep. And you will see, if you frame this, all of a sudden your sleep pattern will also kind of by itself start to improve, just because I'm saying, just try it. And it also liberates an incredible amount of time for all the other habits you want to implement. By the way, I am doing this 30-day without TV challenge at the moment, and that's exactly the effect it has for me. It allowed me to do a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation every day, have my walks every day, and listen to my audiobooks every day. So I've been kind of jumping forward by just limiting this screen time to actually my work and just doing some research online at the moment. That's not to say that I never want to watch TV again. I just need to cut cold for 30 days so that after that I can kind of come back to a more reasonable amount. Number 3, and after that I promise we will maybe come to more regular healthy habits. But number 3 is learn to say no, 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 no. Why is it so important? Because, well, some of you guys are maybe super good at saying no already. So sorry for you if this is nothing new. But for people like me, INFJs and the like, we tend to have a big problem saying no. We just want harmony, we want others to be happy, we are very sensitive, so we're able to kind of feel if anything's going wrong. So we tend to have a big problem saying no to, anything actually, to a lot of things that seem to not please people actually. But you have to, because you have to be honest, you have to follow your intuition on what does you good and what doesn't. And sometimes you don't even know the reason, but it doesn't matter. You still need to communicate in a way that is clear that you don't want to do something. No, today I don't want to go out because I kind of feel like I need the time for myself. That's an introvert thing. No, I don't want to get involved in that project because even though you think I have the perfect profile for it, I think this is really not me. Okay, so just learn to say that. And another reason why saying no is so important is because you wanna maybe consider getting more into essentialism. If you don't know about the concept yet, I have another video where I talk a little bit about that, about focusing on one thing. There's 2 books that I find really good. The One Thing from Gary Keller, but even more so Essentialism from Greg McNeon. Number 4, which is you are what you eat, for sure. So I don't want to talk about body image here. I think you have a lot of videos already online that talk a lot about that. But what you need to be aware of is that food is actually impacting you much more than you think when it comes to your psyche and when it comes to your stress levels, when it comes to yourself, your vision of who you are and how you feel. Actually, they have demonstrated that your intestine, so your gut, has a huge amount of bacteria, and they tend to send more signals to the brain than the brain signals to them. So the thing here is that they have already been able to trace a few areas of the brain that are influenced by those signals sent by the intestine, and they are the area of fear in your brain, and also the area of sense of self. I think there are other areas, but those 2 I remember very clearly. So it means that if your gut bacteria is messed up, and just generally meaning that you are probably having bad food habits, and maybe not only, also stress. Stress can be a huge factor that is impacting your bacteria in your intestine as well. If it goes in the wrong direction, then potentially you will feel even more stress, and you will maybe feel fears that you wouldn't have if you weren't eating like that. And maybe you would have a different sense of self. So really pay attention to that and how you feel. I personally have quit sugar just because I've noticed that it's pushing my fears. I get more fearful, I get more stressed, and just generally it makes me sick anyways. So I have another video on that if you're really interested. But generally, before you cut anything out, unless you know that you're allergic, have an intolerance, or that there is something that really doesn't do you good, before you think about cutting something out, please just think about putting stuff in that's really healthy. So number one, you are what you eat. Please eat more veggies and more salads. There's a lot of science out there and a lot of messages, very confusing about what you should do and what you shouldn't do. I think that one of the main components and common denominators that I found online is really it's vegetables and salads. Everyone agrees on that one. Maybe there's a few more factors that everyone agrees on, but I'm not sure. I'm just saying, veggies, salads, put more of those. Very likely you don't eat enough of those, so more. You can eat more. The next one, number 5, is I want you to think about moving every day. And of course you know about that, you know, exercising and whatever. It doesn't matter so much what you do. It's better if it's diversified, and of course if it suits you, if you like it. But you should really move every day. I definitely recommend walking at least 10,000 steps because, you know, this is very natural. I do recommend yoga because it's just something that if you do it, and of course be careful, you know, be very mindful, check with your practitioner if this is something that works for you. But yoga has very different forms, and practicing yoga, I have been actually going through a challenge now of setting myself 30 days with 1 hour yoga a day. And I was a little over my normal range of weight, and without losing a drastic amount of weight, yoga instantly changed my feeling about my body. I felt more flexible, I felt more capable, I felt more like I know where my body is and that my body is good. I have a, you know, more straight posture, so it means also feeling better instantly, because that's also scientifically proven, so that's why I definitely recommend yoga. But whatever works for you, the more varied, the better. And also keep in mind that the more you age, the more you should be active. A lot of people get it wrong. You know, you start having this little pain here or there, or feeling a little, you know, down or tired, and then you start doing less activity. For normal people that sit a lot in front of their computers, just like me right now, it's actually better if you keep doing more with age, because your muscles tend to, you tend to lose your muscles, and you want to actually signalize to your body that you still need those. And so moving is important. And number 6 is one that is definitely talked about a lot, I think, lately, the 3 last years. It's definitely one of my absolute favorites, one of the habits that I started with consistently every day about 3 or 4 years ago. And it also saved my life. I can really say that. If you want, you can watch a video I have made about that as well here. But generally, meditation is one of those pure keystone habits. So meaning it's a habit that really kind of has that gigantic ripple effect over your life if you practice daily, and it doesn't have to be even so much. The thing is, I don't even know where to start when it comes to benefits of meditation. The thing is that science has only recently started to look at the benefits of meditation in a serious way with research, and the more they work on it and the more they find reasons why you should meditate. Of course, you know that it will reduce your stress levels, you will be more calm, and you will feel more peaceful, of course. But that's not it. It also really improves your health physically. It goes into all areas of your life. Your relationships will likely improve. You will probably be better able to focus at work. Actually, that's scientifically proven, so it's not even probably. And then there's another ton of effects. You can see how great your brain, mind, spirit, I don't really know what it is, how it is, and how much you can play around with it and how many things you can discover about yourself. And especially one thing that I love about meditation is that you start being able to kind of integrate it as little parts in your daily life, which means you can have a moment. Maybe at some point you get angry or happy, or you have just a moment and you have this natural reaction of yours, and you're kind of able to step out of your body and just observe what's happening. And it's super, super, super important, because if you want to keep becoming a better person, you gotta be able to observe yourself, analyze, and kind of be creative about what works for you in the future. How can you become a better person without being in such a contradiction with yourself that you will just resist the change. So talking about healthy habits, if you want to implement even more healthy habits in the future, meditation is definitely the way to go. Okay. Okay, having said that, I think I will cut here because there's kind of a storm coming, and I don't think I want my computer to be all wet. So bye, see you next time.